Hi. This is the second video I'm making about my experience with anxiety. I actually already did one take of this yesterday, and it turned into a 25-minute rambling mess. So I'm hoping today I can gather my thoughts a little better, and now that I've barfed all of that out, hopefully I have a better sense of what I want to say this time. Let's start with, I think, the two things I want to cover in this video. The first one being, kind of the history of my experience with anxiety, and then more recently, what I think has been the cause of this recent boiling point. So I'll start with, way back in my childhood. I think that I'm coming to realize that anxiety is something that I've lived with for most of my life. I just didn't know to call it that. I've had various bad habits, I guess you could call it, or just behaviors in general as a kid and growing up into, continuing to my adulthood that have been indicative of anxiety to some extent. I remember as a kid growing up being just very hard on myself and being very serious, for someone who was 5 to 10 years old. Like, I took things so seriously to the point of it being like I wasn't a kid. And sometimes I'll describe things that happened in my childhood to people around me, and as I'm listening to myself say it, I think like, God, that sounds like I was abused as a kid or something like that, which I very much wasn't. Like, my parents were very loving and kind and caring and, understanding. They didn't put unreasonable expectations on me really ever. I did. I put extremely unreasonable expectations on myself, such that nothing to me was lighthearted or a game. It was like I had to do everything right, whatever right meant. I was a perfectionist, basically. Like, I distinctly remember, I don't know, maybe when I was 8 years old, waking up one morning and just being like, okay, today I'm gonna do everything perfectly, just right. And it's like, why would a freaking 8-year-old be concerned with that? I don't know, but I was for some reason. And it's like, nobody can teach me to be like that. I was like even concerned with like how I was gonna be putting on my socks that morning and like the things I was gonna say to my siblings. And as I got older, I kind of relaxed my grip on this idea of constantly being perfect, because I had to. I think if I was still like that today, who knows, where I'd be. I probably wouldn't have any friends, because who the hell wants to hang out with somebody who's so fixated on how they put their damn socks on. I've kind of learned to relax that expectation for the most part. In certain scenarios today, that still comes up where I have this sense of like, okay, I need to do things just right, and then I apply it to some things where it's not reasonable. So yeah, I think striving to be a perfectionist since I was very little has kind of created this anxiety throughout my life of never being perfect, because you can't be, and as an adult I understand that way better now, so I'm able to not let it drive me insane. Yeah, I think it just made me kind of an anxious kid, and it would manifest in different ways. I'm probably going to use the word manifest like 30 times in this video. I'll see if I can keep a counter going. Like, I used to have a problem my whole life with biting my nails, and look, I finally fixed it. It took me 27 years to stop biting my freaking nails, but that was probably a product of my anxiety. It was just this frenetic energy of like, being worried about things constantly, to always put my hands here. So yeah, I think this, like I said in the previous video, this has been a long time coming. Like, I've kind of lived with this anxiety for a long time now, and only now has it, I was gonna do it again, manifested, only now has it come to the forefront of my life and made it difficult for me to live and succeed. And now that I'm looking back on it, especially through therapy, kind of revisiting some of my childhood experiences, I can identify it as that now. And I think identifying it makes it easier to live with now that I know that's what it is. Being in that situation where I'm driving and feeling like something's wrong with me and not knowing what it is makes it that much worse. So yeah, I think that's kind of all that I wanted to say about the first thing. And then the second thing has to do with what I think kind of brought it to a head. Excuse me. So I think what kind of escalated it here in the last couple of years has been sort of my experience with, or lack thereof, with relationships. This is something that I've kind of struggled with for, a large part of my life. I've had some successes, I've had some failures, but I've mostly had a whole lot of nothing. Being someone my age, approaching like 30 years old, and not really having that aspect of my life figured out is, I think a big stressor in my life. I don't necessarily think it's necessary. Like, I don't expect myself to be married with kids and a house that I own or whatever by this age, because I think that's just unreasonable and ridiculous. It's not necessarily that. It's just this sense of like me being so far behind on the experience side of it that I'm never gonna be caught up. It's this imagined like downward spiral, I guess, of like, because I don't have any experience with it, I won't ever feel confident in it, and I won't pursue it. And because I don't pursue it, I won't get experience in it, and it'll just keep getting worse the older I get. That by itself had some role in the anxiety, but then also I think the fact that I was not dealing with it or addressing it was the main driver of this. I talked to people about it, and certain select people in the past, about my struggles with it, and I kind of stopped talking to people about it because I felt like it was like being a broken record. Like it wasn't getting any better. I didn't know what else to say about it, and I kind of turned inward with it and felt like, okay, there's things that I should be doing to resolve this, like putting myself out there more, or rewriting my dating profile or whatever. Like I felt like it was a personal problem. Like maybe I'm doing something wrong, or I'm just not putting myself in the right situations, or when I am in those situations, I'm not direct enough or confident enough and not taking a chance because it's scary. All those things made me feel like, okay, this is my problem. I have to solve it. So I just wasn't talking to anybody about it. But I was not sure how to fix it. Like, I didn't know what else to do. I didn't know how to approach it in a way that was like authentic and still myself, but like still like made strides in meeting new people and going on dates. So I felt really stuck. And so when I got stuck like that, it just kind of became bottled up, and the pressure increased until it finally blew up. That was kind of the first subject that I brought up when I started going to therapy, was like, okay, this is kind of like the biggest stressor in my life, which is, it seems trivial when you compare it to like other things and that people deal with on a daily basis. Like, I have pretty much all my other ducks in a row. This one minor thing seems kind of trivial to talk about. And I think that also helped contribute to me feeling like I couldn't or shouldn't talk about it. I just felt like I should just be able to live my life as a single person and be happy and not be concerned with this. It should just be like an added bonus, right? So why should I be so affected by it? But I was, because it's something I want, and I've learned, to talk about it and to understand that it's okay to want that. It's, even if you understand that it's not necessary, that doesn't change your emotions about it, and the fact that it's something you very much want and desire. And we're social creatures who want attention and love, and and I get it for the most part from friends and family, platonically of course, but the romantic side of it is an important part of that, and I was ignoring it and trying to pretend like I didn't want it or need it, and that was not a healthy way of dealing with that emotion. I'm starting to come around to to being more open about it, and admitting to myself that it's something I want, and I'm getting over the fear that me talking about it means that I'm desperate, or that I'm lonely, or that bad to be lonely or anything like that. For a long time, I had this fear that, if I keep bringing this up, people are just going to be like, oh, God, that's all he thinks about. He should just go do it and stop complaining about it. Like, I never wanted to be that guy who's just like, oh, I'm so single. Like, my life is terrible. Like, I just want to live my life. I don't want to come off as being desperate and lonely. And I also don't want to be those things. So yeah, that just made me keep it inward, made me keep it to myself, and it was just an unhealthy way to deal with it. Tying this all together, I think looking back on the way I've dealt with things in the past in my childhood, and then now, it all makes sense that, if being an already kind of anxious person and not knowing who to turn to or not feeling like I can turn to anyone to talk about what's bothering me, it just rises to the top, and then that's it. And I hope this doesn't come across as like a please date me, because like that's fucking pathetic. See, here I go again thinking it's like this, oh, I'm so desperate. But I just want to be up front with it. Like that's the point of this video, is for me to be straight up and to talk about the things that make me uncomfortable and vulnerable, and to get over that feeling. So yeah, all of this is just to say, here's me fighting that, all the things that I was afraid of before and speaking out that led to my anxiety. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for listening and for watching. Maybe I'll make some follow-up videos on, topics that come up. I'm really happy with all the response I got on the first video. I've gotten a lot of great messages and people reaching out, and so I think I'll be able to encourage conversations with people, and maybe I'll make another video based on those conversations. So thanks again, and I'll talk to you soon.
When I walk down the street, I need everybody all day long to like me so much. It's exhausting.